Hi, so this is my response to a couple of short video clips this week. They're both by Jabe and they've been taken from the recent documentary about Lucy Letby. I haven't been able to see it myself because I'm an expat, I live in Norway, so I'm really grateful for anything that does come up on the YouTube feed. So these are both video clips of Dewi Evans, and it seems that a lot of us have been thinking along the same lines with these. The first one is Dewi Evans' response to Xu Li and his panel of experts, and the second one, Dewi Evans demonstrates an air embolism. So in the first one, it's that press conference of Dr. Xu Li and his team of experts. So we've all seen that one, and so what they've got is the video is playing and Dewi Evans is sitting in his armchair at home watching the video, and it's his response, his demeanour, and you know how he reacts to the video that is interesting. Now I think we can all agree that he does come over as a bit creepy and smug and glib. You know, he doesn't generally make a good impression, but he is within the realms of normal, if you know what I mean. Alright, he says mean things and he looks happy when he's talking about something bad happening to someone, but otherwise, you know, he looks normal, maybe like he's wearing a mask perhaps, but the mask doesn't slip. But this little video, it's completely different, and it's really disturbing. It's a very bizarre reaction. This is showing, I guess, what he's like when the mask slips, perhaps. So obviously Dr. Xu Li is saying that you know, the other expert got it wrong with what happened with the babies, and Dewi Evans is sitting there and he's looking angry, he's gripping the chair, he's drumming his fingers on the chair, he's slapping his hands on the chair. You know, so he's acting out very frustrated, and you can see his eyes are darting, you know, back and forth, and he's like looking to the side a lot, and he's visibly looking upset. And I think the eyes going back and forth, it's like he's trying to work his way out of a corner, because honestly this looks like fairly classic you know, narcissistic meltdown, when you've got someone really boxed in and they kind of collapse into themselves. It looks exactly like that. And we get to a point where Dr. Xu Li is saying, I would like to ask 3 questions of this expert. And then it's like the lights kind of go on in Dewi Evans' head, and he grabs a sheet of paper and starts furiously writing. It's sort of like someone has thrown him a life belt, and you know, then he has to, you know, come back with his comeback, which is you should get your facts right or something. But it was very bizarre and strange, and just the general way he was sitting when he was, you know, leaned back in the chair, in an almost aggressive way, and he had his arms on the chair, and he had that arrogant stare, and it did put me in mind of another celebrity, initials JS, who used to, you know, sit back in his chair and had just the same arrogant pose. So yeah, I'd love for a body language expert to actually, you know, really look at this, because this was strange and bizarre and weird and creepy and very disturbing. The second video actually is even worse. So Dewi Evans is explaining how you would cause an air embolism in a baby if and he has this all set up. So he's, you know, he's got the baby doll, he's got a bag, and he's got a needle and a sort of IV line set up. And, you know, he actually says, well, I've used red wine for the you know, for the blood, and he goes through it step by step until even I knew what to do. And I skipped biology at school, I'm not interested in that stuff. You know, even I knew what to do. And I'm like, he just did that so easily. And there's a couple of comments, oh my God, is he used to doing this? Because he just went through it just like you go through the motions. And that was just really, really chilling. You know, I'm thinking, oh my God, please tell me he's not hiding in plain sight. That was just my immediate reaction to this. And I just found that completely chilling. Now, the interesting thing about this is, I think the documentary makers actually have not been that sympathetic to him. And I tell you why. If you look back at other interviews that he's done, and he does a lot of them in his own home, and, you know, apart from the gruesome wallpaper, it is a reasonable looking home. I mean, it looks a bit tidy, and you know, maybe not so much clutter as other places, but otherwise it looks fairly normal. But when I was watching these two clips, I was thinking, oh my God, that house looks awful. It looks more like a dungeon than a house. But I noticed everything was so dark. So I think the documentary makers literally didn't show him in the best light. They've put a dark filter over everything, and it makes the house look very, very foreboding, and they've got kind of foreboding music as well. All they need is like you know, some, was it Graham Gould you know, that organist or the harpsichord player who used to play all the creepy music in the Hammer horror films. But I mean, they did pretty well with what they had. So I think they've actually used the lighting, or they've put filters on to make a point there, because that house looks cold and dark and not at all pleasant, not at all homely, and not at all welcoming. If I found myself in a place like that, I would nope it out very, very fast. Another couple of bits of news, and I can't remember where I heard this from. Was it Lucy Letby Analysis, maybe? Someone quite important. It could be David Davis, it could be Mark MacDonald, it could be somebody else, but it is someone really, really quite prominent. Has called for Cheshire Police to investigate Stephen Breary and Ravi Jaram. So they've actually officially requested an investigation. Now, whether anything happens with it, we'll see, but someone quite important and quite well known, and please let me know who it is if you've actually seen it and remembered it. Someone started that ball rolling, so hopefully we can get more pressure on those two to be investigated, and of course our friend Dewi Evans. Okay, so that's it from me. Please like, subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video.